All right. Welcome back, everyone, for our next talk here in Viadino. Next up, we have Ethan Brown. Ethan is the data lead at Doodle, and he's going to be telling us about the Spam War Chronicles, stories from the front lines of the spam war at Doodle. Please welcome Ethan.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, DX Group, for having me. As mentioned, I'm Ethan. I'm the data lead at Doodle, and I'll be discussing or kind of chronicling a spam war that occurred most of 2019 at Doodle. Spam is an endemic problem from us, and I'll talk about the reasons why. It's been a big issue, and so it's an existential threat to Doodle, and why we needed to tackle it. But first, I'll start with some spam of my own, and just give you our marketing slides for Doodle. So this is kind of Doodle by the numbers. We are a very large scheduling platform. We have 30 million monthly active users, almost 100,000 meeting requests a day, and we're a leader in the scheduling SaaS market. Needless to say, because we have operations at this scale, we send a lot of emails. And our biggest, most well-known product is Doodle Polls. This is where you can schedule group meetings, anything from barbecues to board meetings. And it's a very easy-to-use product. It's very popular, especially in Europe. I use it a lot in university. And it's again, has millions and millions of monthly active users every month, and very easy to use. And in most circumstances, meetings go off without a hitch. So here's a typical Doodle meeting, let's say between an advisor and a student, and everything is rosy in the world, but somehow you still get this sense that there is some existential threat looming in the background. And for Doodle, this was certainly the case. We had something that spammers wanted, and why is it? What did we have that was so attractive to spammers? So first off, we are this large platform. We send millions of emails every day, and which means we have a very high reputation with email providers, meaning that our emails are very likely to reach your inbox. A spammer by themselves wouldn't have this capability, but as a large platform, we do. Second, as a free user on Doodle, you can send lots of different types of emails with text that you input yourself. These could be invitations to polls, messages to participants, calendar events. So essentially, a spammer could send a message to a random email with a message of their choice, which, when you think about it, is insane. It's borderline irresponsible, but this is the reality of our free product at present, and it's really a gold mine for spammers. So what does the enemy look like? So typically it's a message like this, where the spammer has made a poll and added just a list of emails that they found, and starts hitting them with phishing links. This particular spammer claims to be a single mom with no kids. I'm unsure how they got into that specific situation, but needless to say, this is spam and needs to be eliminated. And this is just one of millions of spams that we have seen, to the point where it is this looming existential threat that could destroy the platform, our reputation, our deliverability altogether. So how do we see this war over time? The easiest way is to look at our actual email delivery over time. So here you see a pink line, a blue line, which is the number of emails delivered, a pink line, which is the number of emails opened, and then a yellow line, which is the number of emails blocked by ISPs, etc. And in a typical situation, the pink line should be above the blue line. And in a spam-heavy situation, you can see these two major wars that we had. The blue line is above the pink line, meaning that a lot of emails are just going straight to spam filters because they are spam and they are not being opened. So the first attack began before my tenure in 2018 in the spring, and it was a first strike from Bangladesh. Essentially, it was script kiddies from Bangladesh that were hitting our APIs via the website, directly inputting a ton of emails, sending messages to spam messages to people, phishing emails. And the first remedy that we came up with at that time was to put in a reCAPTCHA. That's a very common method to prevent spammers now. They worked around this. Again, we're a gold mine for them, so they're willing to put in the effort. They use some bypass tools to get around the reCAPTCHA. We then put in a better reCAPTCHA, let's say, this invisible reCAPTCHA. Then they were even more willing to work for their spam and started farming out the reCAPTCHA links to click houses, really just warehouses of people solving reCAPTCHAs, until finally we decided to eliminate the carrot and reduce the number of emails that a free user could send. And this seemed to ward them off, at least for a little while, until the following year. Right after I started, actually, they came back. And they came back with a vengeance. They had essentially figured out another trick to send out thousands of emails per session. And at that time, like, I had come from the machine learning world. I had this knowledge, and I thought, you know what? Like, why not try to just block them by detecting them? So I came with this tool, like a sword given to me by a wizard, machine learning. It turns blue when you see orcs. Like, it seems like, okay, it's going to work. And so we went through the effort of implementing a whole machine learning life cycle, labeling spam examples, training our model, deploying the model, everything. And it actually, this active blocking with natural language processing really did seem to work well. Except they immediately found another channel to spam through. So after some time, we were able to also add the active blocking to that channel. However, at this point, we hit another hurdle, which is that we had to start continually labeling and relabeling. And the reason was we were working against actual humans. So spammers are people. They're not just robots. And they will, like the raptors in Jurassic Park, test for weaknesses. And when they find a weakness, they'll exploit it. And then we have to retrain, relabel and retrain, and deploy a new model. So to give you a picture of what this looks like, this is maybe the first spam message that got through our classifier. So we will train the model and slay this message, but then they will slightly alter it, okay, add some hyphens. It gets slightly worse, a bit more jarbled. But again, we have to rework our model so that we can again slay it. And then they come again, and it's even worse. Essentially, they start using characters from different languages. They start using symbols. And essentially, the problem was that you get to this point where you realize you're working against a human, a real adversary. And as soon as they find a single example that gets through, they can exploit it immediately. So I went back to the drawing board, and I started looking, not thinking of spam as a machine learning problem, but just as a normal security problem, like how do you deal with attackers? And I discovered this pyramid of pain. And this pyramid of pain is a really helpful tool to kind of frame this problem, I think, of spammers. And what I realized is that, so what the pyramid of pain is different ways to address attackers to your website or system, let's say. And the lowest level, okay, is kind of trying to stop an exact attack by hash values, screening IP addresses, domains, until you get to the very top, which is like you actually eliminate the tactic that they're using. And machine learning kind of falls in the middle here. You're not actually solving the problem, you're just trying to block things, and maybe it's like a smart blocking. And really, we want something at the very top that eliminates the possibility of spam. So what did we find was this tactic that we could remove? Links. So links are the reason really these spammers want to send emails in the first place, is they want people to click on the link. And so essentially what we did was just remove the ability to put in links into a form. No special machine learning, nothing fancy, just eliminate the carrot altogether. And this, though it met some resistance, like from product, since we're changing the product, it required a lot of conversation, but eventually we realized that this is the solution. And when we did this, you see, okay, the spammers again go away. We've removed the carrot. We've solved the battle. We've won the battle. We've won the war. And all is right in the world. And again, we have our typical Doodle meetings where everyone is happy and the emails are legitimate. So with that, I'd like to thank my colleagues who helped work on this in the data team. And yeah, I'm open to any questions. And lastly, apologies if I'm at all a bit on edge. As an American in this moment, it's been difficult. So thank you for bearing with me. That's it.
All right, thank you so much, Ethan. That was a really interesting talk. If you have questions for Ethan, you can leave them in the stage chat on Hopin. While we're waiting for the questions to come in, just as a massive Lord of the Rings nerd, who exactly is Sauron in this whole analogy?
Yeah, I would say I was trying to make the spammers just the existential doom, so kind of Sauron, the Horde, everything. In like the first version of the talk, I had it more as a communicable disease, but I thought that 2020 was the wrong time to have that analogy. So.
Probably fair. Yeah, you're getting a really positive feedback so far on Hopin. Definitely scroll through the chat later. Other people are asking, are you Gandalf?
No, I'm not the wizard. I'm probably just one of the hobbits, to be honest.
Aren't we all? Yeah. Aren't we all? Well, I have an actual content question for you then while we're waiting for any other questions to come in, which is, I guess, security and user experience can often be in conflict. And I was wondering how you went about, as you built in more security measures, making sure that that had a minimal impact on the user experience for legitimate users on Doodle.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we kind of in making this argument to eliminate links, for example, from the free user experience, obviously we're taking something away. We knew that it would kind of be a tough argument to make. So as a data team, we first looked at, okay, how many people are using links in the first place? And we found, okay, it was really just like 1% of people. Most people in Doodle still to this day, most legitimate users do not send emails. They share the poll on WhatsApp as a link or whatever. Email usage is still the minority case, and of that, adding a link to your email is even more of a minority. So, but we did have to make that case and like use data to make that case.
Interesting, thanks. Let's see. All right, we do have a question now. Why can't they be filtered before sending emails? Something like Clearbit to check emails.
And maybe there's some confusion there because the email address, or maybe they're referring to like why can't we stop them from signing up for accounts, or because the emails the spammers send to are legitimate emails. They have a list of emails of legitimate people that they want to spam or like try to fish for. Mm-hmm. The flip side is like, okay, how do people sign up for accounts? And there, it's very difficult to stop someone from signing up for an account because there are so many ISPs that allow you to essentially be anonymous as a user, and we don't want to blanket block those ISPs. Especially in Asia, they're a big, like this QQ.com domain is a very huge domain in China, but they don't do a great job of deciding if someone is legitimate or not, and like we can't really do that job for them. We verify the emails, and we have a double opt-in process, so they have to verify the email, but spammers get through that as well. I guess it's somehow still economically viable for them to have some manual work in their process, even though it's required.
Yeah. Let's see. No more questions so far. Cool. All right, I'll give it maybe 30 more seconds because there's a little bit of delay, but yeah, thank you so much again for the talk. Really interesting. Always love a good Lord of the Rings reference.
Cool.
And oh, okay, we have one more question. Good, we waited. How was the model training, especially labeling good and bad examples, done? All a manual process? Yeah.
So we use this tool called the SageMaker from AWS. It's they have this whole machine learning suite, but we just use the ground truth component of it, which is like a labeling tool. And we essentially internally farmed out the labeling. So we had pre-filtered some some population of emails that we pretty sure are spam, or at least kind of on the borderline. And then we throw that into the training set and then manually labeled. But it's amazing. I feel like it's the dirty secret of machine learning, like doing manual work, but there always is some of it. And it's amazing how quickly you can label stuff like this and get thousands of examples labeled without so much effort.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Yeah, thank you so much. We will be back again in a few minutes with next talk, which I hear is about chicken nuggets. Thanks. Stick around.